This lecture is on positivism. Positivism is the scientific study of crime. There has been a significant shift in criminological theory beginning in the late 1800s. As you recall, classical criminology dominated our understanding of crime, criminal behavior, and how to respond to criminal behavior. Classical criminology was attacked by the positivist school. Darwin's book, The Origins of Species, written in 1859, provoked this significant shift in criminological thinking. Does anyone remember The Origins of Species? Well, Darwin wrote in his book, The Origins of Species, that human ancestors are less evolved than today's humans. He described how evolution is the process of natural selection in which the weaker or the less capable die off and the more capable dominate and evolve to a more advanced state. From Darwin, we get the idea of the survival of the fittest. As a result of Darwin's book, thinking around criminal behavior shifted. Instead of looking at philosophical premises around criminal behavior, as Bentham and Beccaria did since they were shaped by Enlightenment thinkers, positivists looked at the scientific study of crime. They looked at outside causes, such as the individual or the environment. Positivists rejected free will and instead focused on pathologies. Because of this shift from the classical school to the positivist school, criminologists began to scientifically analyze human behavior and assess criminological theory. So this slide covers how we analyze theories. So there are three components of theoretical analysis. The first component is that a theory must be logical, consistent, wide in scope, and parsimonious. So the theory must have clearly defined concepts. It must be concise. It should only have a very few succinct statements that can explain a wide range of a phenomena. The theory should be logically stated and internally consistent. It should not be tautological. Tautological is basically circular reasoning. When we assess theories, we engage in a variety of empirical tests. So all of those works that you often read in criminological journals tend to be tests of theories. Empirical evidence can tell us whether a theory is credible, whether the concepts within a theory are measurable, or if they're abstract, and if the theory has been supported by studies or lacks significant support. A robust theory is a theory that has significant empirical evidence. The final step in theoretical analysis is empirical validity. So theories make causal arguments. Theories claim that A will cause B to happen. In other words, having delinquent friends will cause that individual who hangs out with those friends to also be delinquent. So to assess empirical validity, we must assess causation. Causation implies four significant elements. First, that there is a theoretical rationale. In other words, there's a good reason that this relationship exists. Second is correlation. Correlation means that the two concepts, the A that caused the B to happen, vary systematically. So you think about, for example, a positive correlation means that they both either go up or go down systematically. So for example, height and weight. As you get taller, you also have more weight. A negative correlation would mean that as one goes up, the other goes down, or as one goes down, the other goes up. So you think about perhaps the age of a car and price. As the car gets older, the price tends to go down, unless of course you have one of those really cool classic cars. The third element is time order sequence. Time order sequence implies that the A comes before B. So in other words, your height comes before your weight. Your weight does not predict your height. Your height, however, predicts your weight. Time order sequence is often a problem when we're trying to assess if peers, if bad friends, cause a kid to engage in bad behavior, or if the kid was bad and began to hang out with these bad friends. If you cannot show that the kid was good before he or she met those bad friends, and then that kid became bad, then you do not have time order sequence. If the kid was bad prior to meeting those bad friends, then you can't blame the behavior on the bad friend. It's not that friend caused that behavior to happen. The final element is absence of spuriousness. A very famous example of spuriousness is ice cream sales and crime. What we find is that as ice cream sales increase, so does crime. They're correlated together, right? They both vary systematically. As ice cream sales go up, crime goes up. We can establish time order sequence. We can show that crime was down prior to the ice cream sales increasing, and once those ice cream sales increased, crime went up. But couldn't there be some other reason for that correlation? Well, there is. It's summer. Spuriousness implies that the relationship between A and B is actually affected by another factor. We call those factors confounding factors. In this case, it is summer. Summer causes ice cream sales to go up. Summer causes crime to go up. So what we want for a robust theory is we want to demonstrate causation with the absence of spuriousness, a time order sequence, correlation, a theoretical rationale, right? To demonstrate empirical validity, we want the theory to have empirical evidence, and we want the theory to be logical, consistent, wide in scope, and parsimonious.